So let's look at these bottom of the table clashes now. Absolutely vital, of course, to avoid relegation, the financial implications. First to the match at the Emirates, Arsenal at home to Watford. Arsenal, quite a few changes. Maitland-Niles was back in, so was Xhaka and Socrates. For Watford, they retained Welbeck up front with Deeney. Early on, Ceballos had a shot that went just over, and then there was a clash in the box, foul on Lacazette. Referee, after consultation with VAR, penalty, Aubameyang stuck it home, and that was 1-0. Doucouré and Pereira had half chances for Watford in response, but the Martinez in goal was effective. And then on 24 minutes, another raid by the Gunners, and this time Aubameyang, he managed to get Tierney in the action following a corner, and Tierney's shot sort of guided into the corner with Foster stationary really. It didn't appear that powerful, but it got in the corner and the Gunners were 2 up. By minute 33, another opportunity in the box. Aubameyang, far too clever, back to goal, but that didn't stop him. He did a bicycle kick to hook the ball wide of the goalkeeper, and all of a sudden Watford's heads were dropping. They were now 3 down. Then they got a lifeline just before half time. Luis managed to foul Welbeck in the box, penalty awarded, Deeney stepped up, and it was 3-1. Second half, the Gunners really took the foot off the pedal. Welbeck came into his own. He forced a good save from Martinez, and then on 66, following a neat cross by Sarr from the right wing, he prodded home to reduce the arrears to 3-2. Game on. But he was denied on 74 by Martinez, possibly the best chance to level the tie, and regrettably for Watford it meant that they were doomed. They'd lost the match by 3-2, and they're going to be playing Championship football next season. Now to Goodison Park, Everton at home to Bournemouth, and early effort for Bournemouth on 9 minutes. King managed to set up a decent chance for Callum Wilson, but his shot was easily dealt with by Pickford. And then there was a handball by Richarlison. Lots of bodies in the box, following a kick from the right, and after VAR had a look at it, they confirmed a penalty, and King stepped up on 13 minutes to put the Cherries 1 up. After that, Everton steadied the ship a bit, and Moise Kean in from the start on this occasion. He managed to tap in on minute 43 after a nice setup from Walcott, who arrived in the box from the right. Then, before we got to the break, a free kick on the left for Bournemouth. It came in viciously, and Solanke managed to get his head on it, and it was wide of the diving Pickford, and that was 2-1 for Bournemouth on 46 minutes. So 2-1 at the break. Second half, not a lot of action. Everton pretty disappointing. 75 minutes. Baines, who was playing his last game, he'd announced that he was going to retire, managed to get in the way to thwart Callum Wilson in the nick of time. And then Keane, he managed to get a block on Wilson on 79. And then Stanislav got a shot away on 80, and Pickford made a right mess of it, and it managed to slip through into the net. And so the Cherries had gone 3-1 up. They actually held out quite comfortably and took the match by 3-1. So the third of those relegation matches was at the London Stadium, West Ham against Villa. Now Villa were in the driving seat at the start of play, and let's see how they got on. Early chance from a long pass over the top found Antonio, but he managed to poke it wide. And then a Sameta header was pretty tame and easily dealt with by Fabianski. Grealish once again prominent for Villa, but his first effort was straight at the keeper. A fairly aimless first half with few chances ended goalless. But second half, Villa in the ascendancy and Grealish really coming into his own. He managed to wriggle free and he swept it over, and that was just a starter for him, because on 84 minutes he again found a bit of space, and his left foot shot going across the West Ham keeper Fabianski went in the roof of the net, and Villa were in absolute wonderland. It was 1-0. But they didn't stay ahead for very long. A minute later, a rather opportunist shot from Yaromenko was ricocheted viciously, and it skied over Reina. He had absolutely no chance to level things up at 1-1. So nervous moments for Villa, but they hung on, and so that Barrett basically guaranteed that they're going to be playing Premier League football, and it condemned both Bournemouth and Watford to Championship football alongside Norwich. So a few observations really. I think Bournemouth, well, they've been guilty of conceding far too many goals. That's been a habit over a number of seasons, but their attack has managed to dig them out of a hole in previous years, but that unfortunately couldn't happen this time. So Cook, their club captain, in interview telling us all that this is the first disappointment that he's had with the club. So Eddie Howe having to face a season at least in the Championship. Watford, well, we will still be rather speculating on what if Pearson hadn't been sacked, but they certainly haven't been good enough, and so no surprises. Villa's motto, togetherness, preparedness and relentlessness, seems to have been sufficient to get them safe, and so we'll be seeing them in the next season. Whether Grealish will be with them, that's another matter. He is their talisman. They will be trying to keep hold of him, that's for certain. Right, so let's move on. Now on to Chelsea at home to Wolves. This was the other matter at the top of the league with regard to Champions League football, of course, and fairly insipid sort of match. Really not a lot to get too excited about, although Caballero was in for Kepa. No injury here. It may look like that Lampard is looking to the future and Kepa is not going to be part of the plan. And another point worth making, Raul Jimenez, 26 goals in total for the Wolves this season. What a bargain he's been. Anyway, to the action. Early cross from Doherty, which was managed to get blocked and away. In the stands watching was Chelsea's new signing, Werner. How that's going to impact, we'll have to wait and see. But it could really cause a problem for Abraham. But Giroud's in the number 9 shirt at the moment, and it was him who headed over a little bit later. And then on 43 minutes, Caballero managed to tip away a curling shot. 45 minutes then, a free kick to Chelsea. Mount stepped up, he curled it round the wall and into the net. Fabrizio could do nothing about it, and Wolves had gone behind. So 1-0 to Chelsea, and in the fourth extra minute, Giroud was too quick for Bowley after he'd got past the goalkeeper after a great through ball, and he managed to lash it into the net. And within 4 minutes of added time, the Wolves had actually conceded 2 goals, and Chelsea waltzed into the half-time changing room 2-0 up. The first half had been poor, but it doesn't matter. They had 2 up. The second half was dire. There was a slight opportunity for Abraham, but nothing much to report. Wolves seemed a bit out on their feet, really, and the match really ended up a disappointing match on the eye, really, but no problem for Chelsea. They were into the Champions League. They'd beaten Wolves by 2-0. King Power then, Leicester at home to Manchester United. Key game in terms of Champions League positions. Man U currently in 3rd, Leicester in 5th. Leicester needed to win. Morgan retained up front, still no so suspended. Chowdhury was in midfield. Early United very much at full strength, apart from the left back position, Williams in for Shaw. Early action, Martial was put through in the first minute, but he was deemed offside as he clinically finished. And then Fernandes involved after 5 minutes. A stupid foul by Maguire on 8. He received a yellow for that, which put him under pressure for the rest of the game. And then Matic gave the ball away on 14 minutes, but Ndidi shot went way over. Again, sloppy defending by Maguire, but the United defence recovered. Then 24 minutes, a break by the Foxes. Iheanacho clear, but he should have really delivered the pass to Varley. Became too selfish. Eventually got his shot away. Pretty tame effort, but De Gea still managed to fumble it before collecting it the second attempt as Vardy challenged the ball, and he wasn't too happy with Vardy's challenge. 31 minutes, a great ball over the top by Pogba that found Fernandes, but he hits the netting, side netting, but he was ruled offside anyway. 33 minutes, Tielemans, a sort of an effort on target, but fed by Iheanacho, but it really was pretty tame, and it went inches wide anyway. Thomas, who looked pretty good on the left, debutising for Chilwell, delivered a cross from the left. First real opportunity for Vardy, who got in front of his marker, but it went wide. 41 minutes. Another opportunity for Leicester. This time, Justin across from the right, and then an opportunity for the Reds. They've been few and far between, to be honest. Rashford this time, but his effort was well wide, and that bounced off Justin to him. 45 minutes then, we're at the interval almost, and a Martial shot was deflected for a corner, and from that corner it came through to Rashford, who was completely unmarked, and he really belted the ball straight at Schmeichel, but the goalkeeper was good enough, and so it was goalless at the break into the second half. Justin looking pretty impressive on that right. Managed to get the ball away from Martial at the very last minute inside the box. Definitely an opportunity. That was within a minute of the restart. Leicester were on the front foot. They had a couple of corners in succession. But on 57 minutes, Schmeichel had to be alert, quickly off his line to avert a pass, put Martial through. Free kick for Tillemans for Leicester. Tillemans on 59, but Vardy's connection, he headed it against the stanchion. And then on 67 minutes, a crucial loss of possession by Chalderet. The ball was quickly fed by Greenwood to Martial, who got between two defenders, Evans and Morgan, and it was Evans who managed to clip him in the box. A penalty kick, although there was some debate. It took a long time for VAR to confirm it, but eventually they did. And Fernandes stepped up with his particular audacious style and put it in the corner for 1-0. Fernandes has been struggling earlier in the half after a bit of a naughty challenge, but towards the end of the first half he picked that up. But by the time he converted this, he'd run it off. Gray came on, and it certainly added a little bit of punch to the attack. And Barnes was also used as a substitute. But a gilt-edged chance for Morgan on 78, who appeared to be all on his own in the 6-yard box. But he completely missed the ball. It was a volley attempt, an air shot, not the person you want to have in that position. Gray in from the right on 82, a left strike that was deflected wide, but all in all the United defence was holding firm, and Leicester, they just didn't have that cutting edge. And then we were into the 7th minute of added time, and Schmeichel tried to get a bit clever with Lingard running him down, and unfortunately for the Leicester keeper, Lingard got a touch to the ball, and it got away from Schmeichel kindly for the striker, and Lingard pushed it into an empty net, and that was it. It was all over. Leicester had fallen short. Europa League for them in 5th place, but Solskjaer and his troops absolutely jubilant. They'd come from a long way back pre-lockdown. They had secured 3rd place and Champions League football, and they had won this match at the King Power Station by 2-0. Now, the last thing we needed to sort out was that Europa League spot, with Chelsea and Man United now in the Champions League, Leicester in the Europa League. Would it be Wolves or would it be Tottenham? Right, Crystal Palace was the venue, Selhurst Park. The visitors was Mourinho's Spurs. 1 defeat in 8 for Spurs, good form coming in. Palace, well, they've lost 7 in a row. Their form has been woeful. Coyote was in defence, not much to choose from, so many injuries for Hodgson. And of course Harry Kane in deadly form in the last 3 or 4 games. He netted 4 goals in that time. Dyer was back in defence. 13 minutes, dreadful defensive error by Palace, let Lo Celso in, and he fed Kane, and Kane does what he does well. He shoots it in the corner of the net, and it's 1-0 to the visitors. Slop had an effort on 32, but Lloris collected comfortably. And then a frantic clearance off the line by the Palace defender Ward after Moura had rounded the keeper and put the ball across the 6-yard box. 1-0 at the break into the second half, and then that man Sloop on 53 minutes levelled the matter. It followed a corner and a header back by Ayew, header back to Ayew. He scuffed his shot, but somehow it came to Sloop, who slotted it in the corner, 1-1. After that, Moura was inches wide from taking a lead for Spurs, but Dan had a final effort on 92, which he headed wide, but that was about it. It ended even, which suited Spurs, but as Wolves had lost, that meant that they jumped them into the Europa League spot. Final score at Selhurst Park: Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham Hotspur won. So to the Emirates and Manchester City's home match against Norwich. Norwich is last before they start life back in the Championship, and it was a significant moment because it was David Silva's final appearance for Manchester City, being with the club now a decade, would you believe, and his performances have been 5-star. So he was selected. Foden was up front alongside Jesus and Sterling. And Norwich, well, they've conceded 70 goals this season, so it's pretty easy to work out why they're going down. On 8 minutes, they got the ball in the back of the net. Hernandez ran at the defence and beat Ederson, but he was adjudged to be slightly offside. Very unlucky. 11 minutes though, Jesus wasn't offside as he converted Sterling's cross that was half cleared. So that was 1-0 to City. It took them until a minute into added time before they doubled their lead, but this was an absolute cracker from Kevin De Bruyne outside the box. It hit the top corner, absolutely no chance for Krul, and that was 2-0. Then Hernandez had a half chance, but it was thwarted by Ederson's hand. 79 minutes. The pain got worse for the Canaries, and it was a nice finish. Silva and De Bruyne setting up Sterling. He's been absolutely prolific in front of goal. He wasn't going to miss this opportunity, and it was 3-0. And then to rub salt into the wounds, 83 minutes, Mahrez, who'd been looking lively after a poor defensive error, converted number 4 from just inside the box. And then on full time, De Bruyne got his brace, a great shot bending in off the post to round it all off. 100 goals again this season for Manchester City. A goodbye from David Silva. Manchester City had won this game by 5-0. Liverpool's final game was at St James's Park. Liverpool's form not so good, but the title had already been won. Newcastle no win in the last 5, so they probably weren't looking forward to this one. Klopp rang the changes. None of the 3 strikers were selected. They were all on the bench. Opportunity for Origi and Williams in for Arnold at right back. And 1 minute was on the clock, and then a quick free kick inside Liverpool's half put Gale away, and he ran into the box and clipped it wide of Alisson, and the Magpies amazingly had gone 1 up after 60 seconds. Then Minamino, the Japanese player who was selected for Liverpool, he had a strike which forced a good save from Dubravka. 38 minutes, Oxlade-Chamberlain slipped away on the right side, went to the byline, clipped it across into the box. Van Dijk launched himself at it, a looping header, and it went in the corner of the goal, and so parity was restored. Liverpool 1-1. 42 minutes, Oxlade-Chamberlain, who was really taking advantage of this selection, hit a beautiful strike that was inches wide, but it remained 1-1 at the break. 59 minutes though, Origi, a nice shot from just outside the box, found the bottom corner to put Liverpool 2-1 up. Salah came on, his first effort was a whiplash shot against the post, and then on 89 minutes Mane had also come on, managed to waltz in from the left, and as he's done all season, he curved the right foot shot, finding the corner. 3-1 to Liverpool, game over. So they finished with another win. 99 points for Liverpool this season. That's a record for Liverpool. And so the final score at Newcastle 1, Liverpool 3. So to St Mary's. Southampton at home to Sheffield United. Both these sides have had pretty good seasons, and considering Southampton got walloped 9-0 way back in the beginning of autumn, it's been a pretty good effort from Hasenhüttl's men. Of course, they have been helped by Danny Ings. His scoring record has been absolutely tremendous. 21 coming into this match, just behind the Golden Boot leader Vardy, and same as Aubameyang. Into the match then. Adams alongside Sharp for Sheffield United. 26 minutes. Absolutely cracking strike from Lundstram. Put the Blades in front after a defensive lapse by Southampton in the box. And he had a chance to make it 2, but McCarthy managed to keep that one out. It was 1-0 at the break, and then into the second half, an equaliser from Adams. A really cool finish. Beat Henderson in his near post. And at that stage, Southampton were looking more impressive. The Blades were certainly wilting. They've had a tough season and their performances have been outstanding, but they were certainly running out of gas fast. And on 71 minutes, Adams managed to get the second for himself. It had a slight defection on 71 minutes, but it went in and it was 2-1. After that, Ings was fouled in the box. He jumped up and converted the penalty. That was his 22nd in the Premier League this season, and that completed the scoring. Disappointing end for Sheffield United, but Wildy was realistic about it. Final score then: Southampton 3, Sheffield United 1. So to the final match then of this, the longest Premier League season in history, thanks to COVID-19. It was at Turf Moor and it was Burnley against Brighton. Now Pope had a chance of the Golden Glove, looking for his 16th clean sheet. He started the game level with Edison, and McNeil, the most appearance for an under 21 player in the league. So he looked particularly proud. An early incident involving Rodriguez, who was fouled by Stevens. The referee decided no penalty. And then on 20 minutes, Brighton took the lead. And it was a strong strike from Bessomi from distance after a short corner had been sorted by the defence, but he hit this screamer from well over 30 yards, and it went quickly past Ryan, and that was went past Pope, and that was the end of the Golden Glove for Pope, and it was 1-0 to Brighton. Shortly after that, Mope hit the bar, but then on 44 minutes, Wood, who's always an elusive sort of player, he managed to evade his marker and clip it wide of Ryan to take us to the break 1-1. Into the second half then, and Connolly, who was looking lively, he on the left, a corner came in from the left, and there he was to jink it past Pope, and Brighton had took the lead by 2-1. There was a rally by Burnley. Rodriguez headed an equaliser from Westwood's corner, but VAR disallowed it for an offside. So anyway, Dyche wasn't happy about that, but full time arrived. Burnley had lost their final home game by 2-1. The Golden Glove had gone to Edison, and Vardy with the Golden Boot, with Aubameyang's brace still leaving him one short. So that concludes the matches. So let's have a quick summary then of the Premier League season, the disjointed Premier League season. It's been rather odd having all these games in the last 3 or 4 weeks behind closed doors, but we finally completed the 38 match fixture list, and this is how they ended up. So let's go through the table then. At the top, of course, Liverpool with 99 points. In second, Manchester City on 81 points. Third, Manchester City. They made up a lot of ground since the lockdown, and they take the third place on goal difference from Chelsea, 66 points. Chelsea then in fourth. In fifth, Leicester fell away at the end, really, 62 points. Injuries have really suffered. They've suffered with injuries. Maddison out of the team, the pair of the fullbacks, Pereira and Chilwell, not available, and that's certainly hurt their effort. In sixth place, Spurs, who've rallied in the last half dozen matches. Mourinho will probably be quite pleased, 59 points. When he arrived, they were 11th, and they finished 6th. They nudged Wolves out of the Europa League, 7th place for them, same number of points. But they're still involved in this Europa League competition. And so who knows, if they win it, they could be in the Champions League. 8th place, Arsenal. And Arsenal, if they actually win the FA Cup, I think they will kick Spurs out of the Europa League. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I think that's a possibility. They're 8th on 56. 9th and 10th were Sheffield United and Burnley on 54. Very respectable seasons for those two clubs. And in 11th, Southampton, 52. Remember, they were really near the bottom early on before lockdown. Very disappointing season for Everton. Ancelotti arrived, but they've ended up 12th with 49, and that's just not good enough for a team of their stature. On 13th, Newcastle on 44. Not a bad reward for Bruce. Many people were suggesting that after Benitez's departure, they might be heading back to the Championship. Well, he's got some good players as Bruce. It's just a question of keeping them fit. In 14th place, Crystal Palace, 43 points. Disappointing season, really, for Hodgson. And it sounds like he could be about to lose Wilfried Zaha, who's looking for something, a bigger challenge. In 15th, Graham Potter's Brighton on 41 points. That's okay for them. 6 points above the drop, 7 points above the drop zone. Below them in 16th, West Ham. Moyes has kept them up, but they've got to do a lot better than that. And, of course, Villa on 17th. With 35 points and a miraculous escape act. And that leaves the 3 teams that are heading for the Championship. 18th, Bournemouth on 34, 19th, Watford on 34, and at the bottom, Norwich with an absolutely dismal 21 points. So, that concludes my reviews then for this season. For those of you that have been following me, thanks very much. I love doing these shows. I try and create some sort of replica of the action. I can't show live action because of copyright. The pictures I do find via the internet, and I try and keep an element of excitement in my commentary. So I will be doing some roundups of Europa and Champions League, which we're going to have in August before the new season starts in September. So that's my lot.